today's tarot reading, I'm going to be tapping into the energy of Orrin and Orson West, whose original names were Classic and Cincere, but they were adopted, and I think that's when their name was changed to Orrin and Orson. They were adopted by Tracey and Jacqueline West, and allegedly they went missing from their home in California City, California, right before Christmas in 2020. So the gist of this case is that these two boys, I believe that they were initially put into the West's care in like a foster type situation, but then later they were adopted into the family. And the Wests just recently moved to California City, California, right before this disappearance took place. So, what we know is that Orrin and Orson West are 3 and 4 years old at the time that they went missing. So they allegedly went missing from their home in California City, California on December 21st, 2020. Now, the DA did come out and say that although no bodies have been found in this case, they have so much circumstantial evidence that they were actually able to convince the grand jury that these two boys were murdered. So even without bodies. So the DA also stated at one point that there was evidence that these boys were actually murdered 3 months before they were reported missing. Now, I have been wondering about this case ever since it came out, because as soon as I saw Tracey and Jacqueline West with their little masks on, talking to the news, hiding behind the COVID mask, I could tell that they were not being honest, they weren't being truthful, they were not being sincere. And there was definitely something up with these two. The whole thing just seemed very rehearsed. And Tracey, the father, was also standing eerily similarly to Chris Watts, if you know what I mean. So there was just something about the energy of that situation. I knew something was up with those parents. And something inside of me had this strange feeling that those boys were never in that California City home. I just thought, now that Jacqueline and Tracey are about to go to court, I think that it's time that we try to find out from Orrin and Orson, or Classic and Cincere themselves, what actually happened to them. So I'm going to light this candle in honor of Orrin and Orson West. And as long as this candle is lit, they can remain with me here while I do this tarot reading. And I can act as a channel to be their voice, to let us all know what really happened to them. So Orrin and Orson West, I invite you now to use me as a channel to tell us your story. All right. What happened to you guys? I'm going to start with 3 of these cards. So, as usual, I'm just going to shuffle the deck 3 times, cut the deck, draw a card, and then repeat that whole process 3 times. So, let's do it. Alright, Orrin and Orson, what happened to you guys? Tell us as much as you can about what happened when you disappeared. What happened to you guys? It says here, premeditated murder. Killer planned out the details in advance. Interesting. Considering that the DA states that they have enough evidence showing that it's possible those boys weren't even in California City at the time of their disappearance. Alright, Orrin and Orson, what else? In the future, the killer may admit guilt. I don't know about that. It doesn't sound too sure because it says they may, but it's also a prediction card. So I guess it's always a possibility that these monsters might actually admit what they have done. Alright, Orrin and Orson. One more shuffle and we'll cut the deck. It says here, the murder weapon used will provide valuable clues. I don't know about these three cards, you guys. Only because on that last one, we don't even have bodies yet, let alone a murder weapon. But who knows what they have? Because a judge has also placed a gag order on this particular investigation. So there's really not much information going to come out. So let's just see what else we can get from the tarot for now. All right. I'm going to shuffle a few times and then draw 3 of the Rider-Waite cards for the energy surrounding the situation of what happened to Orrin and Orson West. Well, we have the 8 of Cups reversed. I feel like this is like normally a card for walking away, but it's reversed. Obviously, Orrin and Orson, or Classic and Cincere's actual parents, mother, I believe even the father has spoken out quite a bit too. But these two are definitely not walking away from this. They see an issue with how these boys were handled, obviously. I mean, obviously. If they're not murdered, they're at least missing and have been for quite some time now, while under the care of these, the Wests. But in the case of the 8 of Cups reversed, I feel like there's just this emotional disconnect. On one side of the spectrum, I see an emotional disconnect from these boys, right? And by disconnect, I mean a coldness. And I'm seeing in my mind Jacqueline or Jackie specifically. But with the 8 of Cups, I'm also seeing on the other side the birth parents of Classic and Cincere is not going to walk away from this. They're going to they're emotionally scarred from this, obviously. Then we have the 2 of Cups along with the Page of Wands reversed. I feel like, obviously, there's more than one person involved in what happened to Orrin and Orson, because we have that 2 of Cups there. And with the Page of Wands in reverse, I really do feel like no one had any intention of watching these boys grow into men. I feel like with this card being reversed, someone was almost like taking advantage of their youth, their ignorance, they weren't there to watch them grow. They were taking advantage of these boys in some way. All right, now I'm going to get clarity with the Deviant Moon Tarot deck. First, I'm going to give them a few shuffles, and I will pull 3 cards from this deck as well. All right, Orrin and Orson. Okay. So we have the Five of Cups. It's like an adult is yelling at this child, and all these spilled cups are all they're focusing on. I feel like these kids were abused in more ways than we'll ever know. Probably verbally, emotionally, as well as physically. Unfortunately. I'm so sorry, Orrin and Orson. But along with that, Five of Cups, where the focus is more on the spilled cups than the cups left standing, we also got this Nine of Cups, right? As well as the Ten of Cups. So I feel like this sense of desire, the sense of like someone wanting something they don't have, like money and success in some way, you know? That's what I'm feeling from this card. And next to the Ten of Pentacles, it's like with this small person under this table, with the adult in the situation playing the game. I feel like Orrin and Orson were used as little pawns for Jacqueline and Trezell, or Jacqueline or Trezell, to kind of get what they want out of life. Or that's what they thought anyway. So really, the boys were just a second thought. They weren't worried about seeing them grow. They weren't worried about seeing them be happy and emotionally stable young boys. All right. Okay, Orrin and Orson, what happened to you? What can you tell us? Oh, gosh. Yes, we got desert. They did live in the desert. We also got the Pizzagate card. Okay. I don't know if someone had some kind of experience in the cryptocurrency. I don't know if Jacqueline and Trezell were mixed up in this somehow. I don't know. But we'll see what else might come out. But it could have to do with just money in general. Like we said with that Nine of Cups. All these desires. And then, of course, with this card and this card, it is quite possible that they were used in that way to be exploited for money. I feel like these boys were definitely being exploited for money. But then we also got the propaganda and the school card. So they were trying to teach people a certain narrative. They were trying to be like the one directing us into this mindset, right? With these two cards coming out together. I feel like this is referring to the parents, Trezell and Jacqueline West. I feel like not only were they training their children what to think, what to believe, how to act around other people because of their own selfish needs, I also feel like the whole story, obviously, well, just like I agree with the DA that this whole thing was kind of a setup. It was all a made-up story. It was like a form of propaganda to make us all believe. You guys, I'm also getting this feeling, and this, I don't want to like rub anyone the wrong way saying this, but I truly just got this feeling that the parents, Trezell and Jacqueline, believed that this case would fly under the radar because it was a couple of little black boys missing from California. They thought it would be nothing to people, but it is something, you guys. And I hope that they go down for this. All right, Orrin and Orson, what else can you tell us? What else can you tell us happened to you? Anything else that you want us to know? What else do you want us to know? There were a bunch, but the one that was flipped on top was caregiver. Yes. Jacqueline and Trezell were the caregivers. Yeah. Then we got cult and assassination. Right as I was saying Jacqueline and Tracey were the caregivers, these two cards came out together. So with the cult, it's the same idea of that I was kind of saying with the school and the propaganda card, you guys. The idea is that these kids, this family was trying to live a particular kind of life that was almost like a cultish type of life where you can't really speak about it to outsiders. And I think a lot of times the kids would normally follow this rule. Obviously not now, to the police, hopefully. But I do feel like it's a cult-like environment in the home. It was. And then we got the assassination card. For this was all, remember, the main card for that group of three was the caregiver card. Okay. I'll see if I can get 3 more cards from this deck. This one just fell out first. Accomplice, partner in crime. We got AI. So I'll bet there is a lot of evidence in the electronic devices, whether it's tablets, cell phones, computers, laptops, etc. Hopefully they find enough to book them. Oh God. I don't even know if I want to show you guys this card because the bodies haven't been found yet. So I just won't even say anything about it, but you know what it says, if you can read. All right. Orrin and Orson. Do you have anything else you want to tell us from this deck? Whoa, I think that was too many. What else can you tell us, Orrin and Orson? What else can you tell us about what happened to you? Or about the people who did it? What happened to you? Whoa, they're everywhere. This is the no deck. I'm going to move on to the next, because this one is not it. I don't believe. Make sure I'm not missing any. Oops. Okay, there was 2 that came out. Lockdown, mental prison, confined, and then we got the interlude card. So it's like there's a pause, timing factor. Maybe there is more that we know that's about to come out. Possibly. I think it's pretty clear what's going on here in the desert in California City, California. It's definitely got something to do with taking advantage of the children. Possibly for monetary gain or in some way to get some kind of status or something you want. Using those children as a pawn. Not really caring much for their emotional development or who they really are as a person. Okay? There's going to be some evidence in AI. So in the computers, in the phones, in the tablets. This, I do believe, was a death. Whether it was on accident or on purpose. It was something like a secret held within the family or within those who know. All right? There was probably more than one person involved, obviously, because Tracey and Jacqueline. Okay? But there could be even more. They possibly had accomplices in this disgusting, disgusting card. All right? Okay, so I think that pretty much tells us what we need to know. Who did it? Who made them go missing? I really do feel like the parents thought that this would just fly under the radar and it wouldn't be as big as it had become as far as news is concerned. They thought that these poor little boys could just kind of like fall off the face of the earth, right? I don't think so. I don't think so. So before we go, I'm going to shuffle this deck again 3 times, cut the deck, and draw one last card. All right, Orrin and Orson, so is there anything else from this deck that you want to tell us about your investigation, or the investigation into your disappearance or possible murder? All right, one more shuffle. Interesting. Okay. Kind of like what I was saying, I pulled one more card for clarity, okay? So here's what first came out. It said, victim didn't know the killer. Which I was like, huh? Because that kind of felt like, But then I thought, oh yeah. Okay. So I pulled the second card just to get a little clarity, okay? And it said, multiple people were involved in the crime. I believe that, you guys. So let's say this is true, right? Something strange with the children was going on there in the desert, okay? Let's just say. Let's just say that these alleged caregivers who didn't seem to care too much about them was using these children as a pawn for their own selfish desires. Let's just say that someone was exchanging something, you know, like something for money. It's funny that we got this kind of money as well as the AI. Maybe there's going to be some kind of evidence in money online or something. I don't know. We'll see. But let's just say money changes hands, and it happens all the time, right? Let's just say it's a little weird cult that they live in that house, in the West house. And let's just say all the kids know not to talk about what goes on there at the home, right? So let's just say the victim may not have known the killer. Because what if Orrin and Orson were literally seeing another client that day, so to speak? If you know what I mean. This is so disgusting to think about. But that's kind of what I'm picking up here, okay? And then if something accidentally happened, like, oops, gave the kid too much of this sedative, or oops, I went too far. Maybe they would have to do something to hide it, right? Or if they went too far with something, maybe they had to do something to stop this from being revealed. That's pretty much what I'm picking up from this reading that we have here from Orrin and Orson. All right. I feel like with the High Priestess, as I was shuffling this deck again, I was kind of wondering, where is this investigation going? And I feel like a lot of it is just being hidden. Because the High Priestess has the moon under her feet. She has the Torah hidden under her cloak. She's like seeping in like that spiritual side, the dark side, right? So I feel like with not much information coming out to us, it's because it's all being hidden on purpose. They don't want to give too much. They don't want to give too much information to the public at this time regarding the case, because they think it is about to go. I don't know if Jacqueline and Trezell are going to court specifically regarding this case or what. I'm going to have to look more into that. But there is a gag order, I know that. There's definitely some weird stuff going on in the desert that has to do with the children. I totally agree with the DA that those kids were not, they did not go missing at the time that it was said that they had gone missing. Something else happened, and everything that happened since has been an attempt to cover it up. So I want everyone now to pray. Pray for justice for Orrin and Orson West, otherwise known as Classic and Cincere. Pray for justice for these little angels. That wraps it up for this video today. So here's our little fellas, Orrin and Orson, Classic and Cincere. Please continue to hold them in your thoughts and prayers. Continue to pray for justice for these two beautiful boys. I have a feeling that they went through a lot in the very short 3 and 4 years that they were on this planet. So just send them love and light as well. So, Orrin and Orson, thank you so much for being here while we read these tarot cards for you. Thank you for telling us as much of your story as possible at this time. And now, I ask that you leave now. Go back to the energy from where you came. Thank you so much. I love you.